Coming up. I'm not crazy, I swear. Says a crazy man. It's gonna get expensive.
No, I see something there.
And good news.
It's mainly bad news.
Previously on M539, man finds a rare Alpina B12.
Oh, there it is.
Man excited. Alpina neglected.
Only 94 examples were ever made.
Man learns previous man was a jellyfish who installed LPG. Man finds an accident.
An accident. So yeah, something happened in this corner of the car.
Man still giddy.
But great for me.
Man buys.
Delivery day, 300 years have passed. No, it's been literally 3 days. Yep, still look like a lunatic talking to myself. As you can see, I'm dressed for the occasion. It's windy today. I'm gonna go get a smoothie. Smoothie obtained. Polizei. Maybe they stop and say hi, I don't know. We're cool, we're cool. Getting a lot of looks. Yes, there it is, there it is. The smoothie. Oh shit, I'm gonna have to clean that up. Yeah, look like a total lunatic. That's the man. Simic. Woohoo! Alpina. Lovely. The mighty B12 in the dojo. Welcome.
Hello, my friend.
Hello, hello. If you need transport in Frankfurt area, Germany in general, I'm gonna leave his link in the description. Super, super nice guy, super reliable. I gotta pay my dues and then we're gonna take a closer look. Rolling like Tupac. Man is catching the bullet thing. May the legend rest in peace. Another turd landed in my yard that we need to deturd. Ah, this is gonna be a good one. This is going to be a good one. All right, let's start the tour one more time. So this side of the car has been keyed, and this is how not to repair that. Very, very poorly done. If you want to see that properly repaired, you can watch my detailing episode of Project Rottweil. That car has been keyed as well, and now you can't even tell that there were deep scratches there. The biggest bummer is that the fact that this quarter panel has been replaced. We had some major accident there. It was very poorly done. They didn't even remove this rubber that's deteriorating now, so there's a huge edge here, paint run, and this is where they chopped it off. You can see a line there, so that's where it was cut, and a new quarter panel welded in. This poorly painted as well. You can see some dust specks there, so all of that's been painted, but at least the body lines seem fine. See that? That looks nice and straight here as well, and then this is sitting nice and flush. If you look here, it looks a little bit off. This gap is a little bit bigger than here, and there's a gap here, but maybe the taillight can be adjusted because this side isn't particularly good either. But this is the problematic area. We have rust there, as I said, very poorly done, and then this area here has glossy clear coat on it, and this has factory matte finish, so no clear coat. So I don't know what we're gonna have to do here to fix this properly. The windshield will have to come out, that's for sure. The right side is more or less fine, repainted, but no scratches. Big scratch in the hood, also poorly touched up. And then the front end. We need to replace the trim, other than that it looks fine. And then some rock chips and whatnot. Ideally the whole car needs to be repainted and that quarter panel fixed. The interior is beautiful. In really nice condition, like no wear on the bolster here. It's really, really nice. But let's start it. Here's something that you can only do on an E38 that has the 12-cylinder engine under the hood. See that? You don't need to turn and hold the key. Let's take a look under the hood. This is busted. Typical E38. Oh, it's falling out now. That's brilliant. Just, you know, stay there. Whatever. Now this is a very special engine that Alpina did. It's based on the M73 V12, which is the one that we just put in the E31. So it started as a 5.4 liter. Then Alpina did the 5.7 version, which is in the pre-facelift V12. And then finally this one, the 6 liter in the facelift E38. 430 horsepower they got out of this thing. From stock it's 326. They did different pistons, different cams. I think the heads are ported as well, knowing an Alpina, they probably are. The intake manifolds, I think they're different as well. So just proper old school tuning and beautiful V12 engine. It's just shame that it was ruined with this stupid LPG system. Anyway, I'm gonna let the car warm up now, and then we need to change the oil immediately. The last oil change was at 200,000 kilometers. Now it has 218,000, and that was done in 2011. So it has 14 years and 18,000 kilometers on Mr. Wash oil, which is the equivalent of the cheapest oil that you can get. In fact, we have an invoice that it was 25 euros, so we need to get that oil out ASAP. But the engine sounds good and smooth. It's firing on all 12. It's not shaking or anything like that. In fact, let me go get a coin. I have a 2 euro coin here. Look at that. All that abuse and neglect, and it can still do its party trick. God, I love V12s. It's up to temp now, so let's give it a couple of gentle. It's way, way too quiet, but more worryingly, there's lots of condensation, but it did look like it was a little bit bluish, which would indicate burning oil. Let's see if it'll run on gas. I don't know how to operate this. Maybe this button. That does nothing. This one. Well, something happened. Are we powered by previous owner's cheapness or not? I would say no. I think the system is empty. There's no gas in the tank. It's good news, because hopefully we can rip it out. Safely rip it out, that is. Anyway, let's bring it inside and change the oil. I think the thermostat might be stuck open because it's been running for a while now and it's still not in the middle of the temperature gauge. That wouldn't be surprising, given that it's been sitting for 14 years. Go ahead, tell me that isn't the prettiest four-door sedan ever built. The E38. Alpina E38. Glorious, glorious looking car. And it's mine! PDC isn't working. And to those that are new to the channel, this is my 520D daily driver. That's weird. Doesn't sound like a 520D. I think someone swapped in a V10 and a manual gearbox. This is the first E38 that I'm going to touch since Project Dubai, and it's a very special one. And then there was light. Espressito. And I'm gonna get the nurse to roll over the cart. It's definitely not gonna be me. First, remove the oil filter so the oil can drain from the oil filter housing down into the pan. Oh, that definitely wasn't off in 14 years. Ooh, it's hot. I wonder what kind of oil they used. It doesn't say here. Oh, Shell Helix 5W40. Okay, that's good oil. Great. Man, the oil was cheap back then. 25 euro for an oil change with Shell oil? Nuts. The oil smells like fuel. All right, let's inspect the filter for Lego. First it needs to cool down. Looks good in here. All right, let's jump underneath. I don't know if I told you this, but I'm currently standing underneath of an Alpina B12. I might have had too much coffee today. Anyway, what are we doing? I didn't check if the oil filters arrived. Yeah, they did. And here we are. Oh no! An oil leak. In all my years working on BMWs and Alpinas, never seen one leak oil. That's crazy. But you know what they say? BMW without an oil leak, like beer without foam. It's just not right. Very, very black. But thankfully, they did use good oil, so that makes me feel a bit better. Ignore the murder scene over there. I'm in the middle of rebuilding output shafts on the E31. That's right, I'm working on 3 million projects at the same time. But anyway, let's check out the old oil filter. Some tiny metal shavings in there. So we do have some metal particles in the filter. Yeah, we need to inspect the cylinders in O-ring, lube it up, and a brand new filter. Got the good stuff here. 5W40 fully synthetic oil from Liqui Moly. As always, first pre-lube the oil filter. So from the factory they used 0W30 oil, which in my opinion is way too thin. And typically the main purpose of using thinner oil is emissions, fuel consumption. LPG lines in the way. See, that's condensation. Don't panic, it's not a head gasket, it's just condensation. Happens when you don't drive a car for a long time and you just let it idle. Stupid lines.
Should you need oil for your vehicle, you can find the link to the Liqui Moly oil guide in the description. That'll give you a complete list of fluids for your car.
Unlike modern crap, this 12-cylinder pumper has an actual oil dipstick. Good. Fire in the hole. The oil light is immediately off. So good oil pressure. That fan is gonna blow up in my face. We need to change that yesterday. But runs good. Sounds good. With that out of the way, let's go through the documents and the service history of this car. There are some interesting things in there. 6 liter. That's loose. But then again, it wouldn't be my car if it weren't. And by the way, that flew right over my head. I sent some pictures to Jason Camisa and he immediately started laughing. C-U-N-T-Z. It's not pronounced like that, okay? It's Kuntz. Kuntz. Open up this coffin. I don't know if shocks are trying to work. Yeah, it's struggling in there. Might need to replace these shocks here and check the hydraulics. Anyway, these are the documents of the car. And the nice guys from Kuntz left some gifts in here for me. We have white wine. The wife is gonna love that. Very nice. Oh no, this is like champagne. Very nice. And then we have rosé. Beautiful. And then a big bag of things. Little notepads from Alpina. Very cool. Got a hat. Kuntz Classics. Ooh, a jumper. No way! That looks so cool, man. Alpina fleece. Look at that. I love it. Thank you again to Rainer and Fabian. You guys are legends. Okay, I'm gonna go through all of this paperwork and see what I find interesting. Nice little pouch. So this is the original registration document, the old one. This is how it looks right now. Can't show you this in detail because it contains personal information, but the car was first registered on October 21st in 1999. And it was bought by a company in Cologne. They registered on October 21st, 1999. And then it was bought by the previous bastard, you know, the LPG fella, and he owned it since 2004. Actually here near Frankfurt, Main-Taunus-Kreise. I even have his name here. It's an interesting name. Original pics, which you can find actually online in Alpina archives. This is the last tooth inspection, which was done in September 2012. Okay, Polizei is already hunting down the previous owner for installing the LPG on the car, as you can hear in the background, but it had the power steering pump replaced in 2011, and the guy paid 1,208 euros for that. Spark plugs were done in 2010. LPG spark plugs, so they use different spark plugs on the engine. Wheels refinished in 2010 at Manhattan Wheels, which is nearby. All 4 of them, and the cost was 475 euros with tax. Now it's like 3 times that. And I just checked all wheels. The front right one is curved and the rear right one is curved a little bit. The left side wheels are perfect. So maybe I can drop off just that side of the wheels with them and they can paint those. Man, they're really hunting down the previous owner. There's a chopper now as well. They work fast. 2 O2 sensors replaced in 2010. That was nearly €300. And two xenon bulbs, 122 euros. Here's a big one. This invoice is from 2010, 3,322 euros. They replaced the transmission. So that's the labor to do it, 569 euros. Transmission, 1,321. Oil change, 2 xenon lights, 122 euros. Front O2 sensors, nearly 300 euros. And the total was 3,322 euros. Receipt for the tires, Dunlop Sport Max, 551 euro. This was done in 2010, so that's why the tires have a date from 09. The fuel tank was replaced in 2009. That was 844 euros in total. The hydraulic for the trunk was replaced in 2008. That was 491 euros. Okay, the Polizei is looking at me right now. They heard that I bought a B12. But it's not me! It's the previous owner that did this, okay? You need to chase him. Okay, they're leaving. In 2008, bunch of work was done for the tooth inspection. Querlenker, control arms, 912 euros. So credit where it's due. The guy did maintain the car. Another oil change at Mr. Wash, 59 bucks. 0W40. 2008, bunch of work was done. Some errors, Bremsscheiben, brake discs, brake pads, some other stuff that came to 1,959 European shillings. 2007, customer complains that the engine is not running on all cylinders, so they replaced the spark plugs, and it literally says here, difficult to install and replace spark plugs. And they charge them, I think, extra for that. 438 bucks at the dealer. These are the documents related to the LPG installation, auto gas, which was done in 2007. There's quite a lot of documents here. I'm not interested in any of that. This is how to use it. Boring. The fella paid 5,200 euros to ruin the car. Here, come here. I have proof. It wasn't me who did it. It was him. It's him you want. They're still chasing the previous owner. Here's an email between the shop that did installation and the previous owner, telling him that I can do the conversion, that I already converted several 12-cylinder BMW engines, blah, blah, blah. And here are the pictures. This is how it was installed. So, tank there, 2 of these. This was drilled there. They didn't cut the cover here. I thought that these are pictures of this car, the Alpina, but nope. This is some standard 750i. You can see standard intake manifolds, and it's on MPARS. So not our car. Another oil change at Mr. Wash, ZW40, 2007, 46 euro, no, 54 euros. Okay, I found this invoice here from 2007, and the car had 120,267 kilometers. Right now it's 218 something. So it was driven around 100,000 kilometers with the LPG. Now this is the interesting bit, invoices for the new engine. So the engine was removed by BMW Frankfurt. That's actually where I buy parts for cars. Motorhaus und Einbauen. And this is where they did the test to check how much oil the engine is consuming. So they did this at 80,000 kilometers. They put 8 liters in the engine. And then after 1,467 kilometers, they removed 6.3 liters of oil, which means that the oil consumption was 1.6, nearly 1.7 liters per 1,500 kilometers. And they decided to replace the engine. And the engine was overhauled by Alpina. So you can see here, Motorüberholung. That was 2,000 euros, or 2,515. The total was 9,512 euros to rebuild the mighty 6-liter 12-cylinder engine directly by Alpina. So this was done at 80,000 kilometers, which means that this engine right now has 140,000 kilometers. Probably scored cylinders is what caused this. 0W40 oil, yeah, by Shell. Scored cylinders at 80,000 kilometers. That's a bummer. This is from 2005 when the owner complained about the oil consumption. Man, the guy really liked Mr. Wash oil changes, didn't he? And that's it. I was hoping to find something about the accident, but there are more documents. Kudos to the previous owner for the service history, for organizing everything and keeping it in order. I'm curious to see if there's anything about the accident in here. So this is the service book. 99. So first oil change at 3,100 kilometers. So he missed the first oil change by 1,100 kilometers. Then 16, 25, 33, 54, 63. And this is when they replaced the engine. Mr. Vosh. And that's it. This is the Alpina book. Fuel consumption, 24.6 in the city, 10.2 on an open road. And these are just standard 7 Series books. Anyway, the LPG. As I said previously, my big concern here is how the system was installed. Did they do it properly and remove the intake manifolds and then drilled into them? And that way you're 100% sure you're going to get all the metal shavings? Or did they do it the lazy way and drilled into the manifolds while they're still on the engine? And even if a small percentage of those shavings ends up in the engine, we're going to have scorched cylinders, 100%. But given that it was running for 120,000 kilometers in LPG and the guy didn't complain about oil consumption, I don't know. But let's find out. I looked a bit closer at the invoice from Alpina and they replaced the entire block and all of the pistons at 80,000 kilometers. So even back then, it definitely had scorched cylinders. Why? Don't know. The first owner did miss the first oil change by 1,100 kilometers, so 3,100 kilometers with the very first oil, not very good. And then thin oil for the rest of those 80,000 kilometers, not ideal. But on the other hand, this guy did drive 140,000 kilometers with this engine and didn't complain about the oil consumption. But then again, he did trade in this car for a brand new E35 Alpina B7. Why? We don't know. Maybe the engine was burning oil. So with that said, let's remove some spark plugs and look inside of the cylinders. That's going to determine if this project is going to be quickish or full-blown restoration like E31 and Project Hovda. I truly do want to rebuild this engine, don't get me wrong, but I don't have space or the time. So let's see. This is Alpina specific airbox. This is Alpina here. The intake boot as well. Don't know about the MAF. Looks stock. Look at that air filter. Yeah, that's great. 2003. This has the same crap like Project Dubai. I can't even see the spark plug hole. Alright. We got loads of emission lines here. You can see some marks from when they did the engine rebuild. It says 1 to 3, 4 to 6, as in cylinders. Alright. So I think I'm gonna pop all of the spark plugs on this side of the engine. Oh, I forgot how terrible this is. It's much easier to do this on the E31. I gotta go from that side. It's like when you try to enter the cow from the back, you know? Not that I know what that feels like. Oh, my arm is stuck. There we go. I want to try and blow out the spark plug holes. There's bound to be some sand and dust in there, and I don't want that dropping into the cylinders. See? Black, a lot of soot on there. It's burning oil. Not what you want to see. See that? Not good news. That plug is in very poor condition. A lot of soot on there, black deposits. My oh my, this one is even worse. How is this engine running so good with spark plugs looking like this? That's terrible. Okay, and let's do one of the cylinders in the back. So the car wasn't driven properly in 14 years, so that can contribute to gummed up plugs as well because it can burn off all of that crap. But again, these plugs look worse than Project Hovda. Yep, another terrible looking plug. So let's break out the endoscope. Got my phenomenal endoscope from Hazit, and it's moment of truth time. Here we go, here we go. Oh my Lord, the cylinder looks mint. It's mint, man. This is just some dust from when you remove the spark plug, and there's something on the camera. But this is mint. Absolutely mint. Well, this is just the first one. I'm already getting excited, but let's check out the second one. Oh, this one is at the very top. Can't see anything. Cylinder number 1 with the plug looking like this. No scored cylinders. I'm going to shove the camera in every single cylinder, but for now I just want to do a couple. Is it weird that the part of me is sad for not having scored cylinders? Because I want to rebuild this magnificent engine. This is cylinder number 4, and yep, another mint looking cylinder. Alusil looks fantastic, man. That's from the spark plug being pulled out, but it looks phenomenal. I'm gonna remove all of the spark plugs. You gotta do the same on bank 2 as well. Shove the camera in every single one of the cylinders. Make sure that cylinders are clean, and then we can proceed and replace the spark plugs. Gotta remove the fan clutch so we can get to the crank pulley. All right. Let's see. Is there a date? It says 99 on it, so original to this car, never replaced. Okay, now we can rotate the engine. I removed the rest of the spark plugs, so let's check all of the cylinders on bank 1. Number 1 cylinder was good, so let's see number 2. Right, the piston is at the top, so let me rotate the engine. Ah, yeah, this one is mint as well. Look at that. Beautiful. Number 3. This one is at the top as well. There's compression from the other side. And the fan shroud is cutting my arm. Look at that. Another mint cylinder. Beautiful, man. Beautiful to see. Number 4. Oh, we can see the valve here. Look at the valve seat. Looks super clean. Some gummed up stuff on the valve itself, but this cylinder as well looks great. Number 5, mint. Another mint cylinder. 6 is a TDC. Ah, yes. Bank 1 is clean. Squeaky clean. Like perfect. Like cylinders look brand spanking new, man. They really do. Freaking awesome job, Alpina. Now I'm gonna remove all of the spark plugs on bank 2, which is the tricky side, because look at this. There just isn't any space, and on top of that we have more LPG hoses. Not a nasty looking air filter. Sweet. Papaya, that's bad. I remember on Project Dubai it was very difficult to do this side, and that's without LPG. Crap, man. I don't think I can do this side with all these hoses in the way. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Okay, I'll see you in about 456 days, which is how long it'll take to get the spark plugs out on this side. Okay, I'm gonna have to disconnect that LPG hose because there's no way I can get to the spark plugs with this stupid thing in the way. Do you think something will leak here? I don't think it will, right? I don't know. I don't know anything about LPG. I know the system is empty because you won't run on LPG. And it's showing 0, so there's that. But this hose is caked on. Wow, these are some thick hoses. Okay, if you hear hissing, run. Run for your life. Oh, shit. Oh, that's coolant, man. Okay, good. It's just coolant. It's not poisonous gas. They tapped into the stock coolant system. Don't have anything to plug this line with, so guess we're gonna have coolant everywhere. Let's do it quickly, though. Okay, that's out. Should give us a bit more room. Making progress. Removing stuff left and center. Also, I can see an oil leak coming from the PCV valve, so we'll need to address that. I can see why BMW charges extra. Good. It hit the ground. To replace the spark plugs, there's quite a lot in the way, especially with the LPG installed. Ah, the good old days of working on a V12. This is bringing back so many fond memories of working on Project Dubai. I think now I can get to all the spark plugs. 14 and a half days later, we're making progress. Assume the cow probing position. I think past threading was maybe a little bit more flexible because I can't get that one out. That's cylinder number 6. 12, sorry, 12. 12. 6 on this side. Nope. Batard. Gingerly, man, gingerly. Nope. There it is. That's the last ignition cable. Let's get the plugs out. First spark plug is out. It looks equally as bad as the spark plugs from the other bank. Wonderful. Can I get that back, please? Okay, it's time to call it a night. I gotta go home for dinner. I successfully retrieved my tool, so I can drop it again. The lines are in the way. There you go. Come on, you can do it. Perfect. And that's all the spark plugs out. Okay, let's dig in. We are in. Good looking valve seat. The cylinder looks mint. Okay, next one. Another good looking cylinder. Hello. Great looking cylinder. Look at that owl seal surface. You see this valve seat as well? Looks good. The valve is a little bit carboned up, but this is, I think that's the exhaust valve. Yep, that's another great looking cylinder. Number 5. Yep, another good looking cylinder. And the last one. Oh, in you go. No, I see something there. That's a squirt cylinder. No way. That there is a squirt cylinder. No! Let me move the piston down. No! No freaking way! That's the last one! Cylinder number 12. Scored. Ah! Come on! Holy shit. This is far worse than Project Hovde. Look at that. And I really thought we were out of the woods. Like every other cylinder looks absolutely perfect. And look at this one, destroyed. Utterly destroyed. Well, now I know where the metal shavings in the oil filter came from. Well, when I want a chicken dinner. Honestly, when I saw bank 1 being that mint, I was sure that this side is gonna be good as well, but it ain't. This engine is done. This is far worse than anything else that we had on the channel, including Project Chicago, Alpina B7, and E39 M5. Those had lighter vertical scratches, scoring marks. This is heavily pitted. This is super bad. I mean, there's actually chunks of aluminum missing, and that went into the engine, which means that the rod bearings are not gonna be in good condition either. Ticking time bomb this. So great news, we got ourselves yet another engine rebuild. And I was just thinking in my head, this project is going to be a quick one. We're just gonna remove LPG, do this and that, and put it back on the road. But if I continue to drive this car with a cylinder looking like that, you're gonna ruin the rest of the engine. Yep, it all lines up now. Genau, klar. Of course he needs a new engine. Of course he needs a new engine. It appears I'm incapable of buying a car that doesn't need an engine rebuild. That's what we have here. Yeah, I mean, you know, I scripted this far too well. Remember when I said, I'm not aware of any big problems with these engines. Yeah, well, now I am. It's this, cylinder bore damage. I did a bit of
snooping around, talking to people, and last week I bought E31 parts from a guy that had 3 of these engines, the 6.0 version, and all 3 of them ended up with cylinder bore damage. Herman from H2 Motors currently has 1 in his shop. It was brought in due to excessive oil consumption, and he found that the block is damaged. And it appears it's simply due to the nature of how this thing was tuned. So this V12 started its life in the M70 engine with 84mm cylinder bore. That then grew to 85mm on the M73 engine, and finally Alpina did their own version with the 86mm bore. So the piston grew bigger, they also stroked the engine, which means shorter connecting rods, different crank, and the piston speed has increased. And I believe what's happening as the piston is going up and down, it's naturally rocking in the cylinder bore, and it's just exerting too much force on the thrust side of the cylinder and creating that damage over time. This is not to say that it's a design flaw. I mean, this engine works, it works really well, and Alpina extracted 430 horsepower out of this thing back in '99, which is mighty impressive. It's just a consequence of making and tuning a high-performance engine. Nothing lasts forever. This is the second engine that this car had, and now it needs another one. And if you're one of those people who say that cylinder bore damage doesn't matter as long as you have good compression, kindly gather your things and see yourself out, because that's just no. Okay, stop it. No, the compression doesn't even matter. I mean, it does, but in this case, it doesn't. Because you have that damage that's kind of concentrated on the middle of the cylinder, potentially the piston rings can seal enough on the top of the cylinder and give you false compression test results. But I'm not even gonna bother checking the compression because that cylinder is a cheese grater right now. You have that really, really rough surface in the cylinder on which the piston rings are riding on now, which means that cylinder is constantly shedding shavings directly into your engine, circulating everywhere. And normally it's going to lead to rod bearing damage because you have metal in between the crank and the rod bearings, you end up with spun bearings, and then you need to add the crankshaft to the expensive list of parts, to the expensive parts of list. Anyway, I do want to say that this has nothing to do with the LPG itself. In fact, the company that installed the LPG deserves a thumbs up. I mean, they did gut the chassis and cut and drill and this and that, but overall they did a clean install. They definitely had the intake manifolds off, then they drilled into them, and then they put everything back together. If there were some metal shavings in the engine, we would see some vertical scratches, scoring marks in the cylinders, much like on the S62 engine, but here it's clean. So good job, good job. My plan was for this to be like a quickish project, something along the lines of Project Dubai. Fix what needs fixing, make it pretty, get it to pass TÜV, and just use it. But that's clearly not happening. I did talk to Alpina already, and they are willing to help with the project, which is fabulous. They don't have any parts in stock for this engine, and we are talking about making reproduction parts so these engines can be fixed and they can live for longer. That's the goal here, to save neglected, beautiful machines like this one. The problem that I have is we are at the capacity here at the dojo. There is no more room, no more space to take apart yet another car, yet another engine. I could potentially take this engine out and put it on my head and then walk around like that, but that seems a bit inconvenient. So I'm gonna have to figure out something. In the meantime, let's dig into that rear left corner and see what good news we can discover there. I'm functionally sober now, so in the spirit of digging a deep, expensive hole, let's dig into this quarter panel, see how they bodged it together, and what it will take to fix that properly. To me, this is worse than engine damage. Fixing an engine, fun. I would have a plan for that. This, not fun. So this side here looks quite good. A bit of surface rust from the battery leaking, but nothing bad there. So this behind this taillight looks good. So now we need to take apart everything on this side so we can look inside of the quarter panel. I want to see where they made the cut. Look at this. So if you look at the rear of the car, you'll see a gap there between the taillight and the trunk lid. It's a bit wider than the one over here. Same with the gap over there and there. And then if you come closer, you can see this gap here on the right side. It's big, it's nice and even. And then here, it's all wrong. It starts a bit wide here, and then it becomes kind of narrow. And then this sunks in further, and then this here is not straight either. And even though it looks like this taillight is sitting correctly here, I think it's too low down. So this can be pushed up, and then maybe it'll sit right. This line here looks fine. This needs to be fixed, this gap here and this line here. And then of course that rust. And I would imagine that they cut it here. Oh, interesting. You lost the original Alpina spare tire, and they also cut this. Wonderful. Wow. They really used high quality parts here, didn't they? Everything is rusty. Look at that, they cut this plastic here, which is can replace that, but they drilled into the body there and there. Scheisse, man. Scheisse. Just want to see what's underneath here. Okay, that's original metal there. Good. Okay, so I removed quite a bit of stuff so we can assess this properly. It's mainly bad news, but there is some good news. The good news is that the structure, the main structure of the car, the body, that's all original and intact. For example, this panel here, original. This inner structure where the taillight sits, original, but they made a cut here and then here. And you can see some beautiful craftsmanship happening there. Paint runs. And then a cut was made here. So this is original, nice straight metal. And then from here it looks crappy. So that's all done after. And if you look, this is where the welding points are, like the pinch welding points. If you look on the other side, it looks really nice and clean because that's factory. Here it doesn't exist, and this is not even smooth level. It's quite a bit uneven. And this is what it looks like on the inside. So correct point where to make a cut, but this just looks very crappy. This is all nice and original. You can see that the floor there is all original. So what they did here is just replace the outer skin. You can see more craftsmanship happening right there. It's already starting to rust, and this is where we have rust on the top, and there's rust on the inside as well. So this is where they made that cut here, didn't protect or paint the area properly. Moisture collected there, and now we have rust. Took more stuff apart here, and I found where they made a cut here. You can see a nice line. So that's where they chopped it off. So this is original, this is not. That's the cut, and you can see it's been done very poorly. I mean, tape lines, overspray on the carpet, overspray on the headliner, and this is where another cut was made here. And then so it was chopped there, and this entire quarter panel replaced. I don't know exactly what happened, but one can assume that it was some sort of damage to the panel here that couldn't be repaired, so they decided to replace the entire panel. Now this is not awful. A lot of people do this. They replace the entire panel to fix this properly, but this was just done very crappily. You know, this is not good work. And for some reason, they painted the inner door jambs as well. So this is painted on the other side as well. Original body panels, just painted. There's a lot of crap in the paint, dust specks and whatever else. So that's not factory paint. And then this I don't understand. How did they paint this and weld this in without removing the trim here? So maybe it was painted more than once. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. On top of that, we have holes in the body, there and there from the stupid LPG. Another crooked screw right there. And then holes in the spare tire wheel well and the missing Alpina wheel. So that's cheap Alpina B12 in a nutshell for you. To me, this is far, far worse than the engine. I can fix the engine, and that's going to be a lot of fun to do because I can fix it even better than what it was. This, I can't. I mean, this was done at BMW Darmstadt dealership. I mean, BMW themselves, they don't do the repair. They collaborate with local body shops. So whichever body shop did this work for them, they did a really, really crappy job, and they should be ashamed of. Because to do something like this to Alpina B12, so sad. I don't know how we're gonna fix this. I need to talk to some professionals, some body shops. Okay, I think that about sums it up. My brilliant purchase here. Kinda cold. Again, because you know it's so nice and warm in Germany right now. I feel like death. But anyway, 94 examples made, and I bought the worst one. Seems about right. Mighty restoration this is going to be. I was so giddy and excited about this car. Still am. I would have bought it no matter what, even if I knew that the engine was bad. In fact, a big part of me wanted that engine to be bad so I can rebuild it and make it my own. Guys from Kunz were great. I can't complain. Even if I would, I wouldn't. This car was sold to me as a parts car because it's in such rough condition. You have that LPG stuff. They didn't even want to touch it. You know, they sell beautiful mint cars. This isn't a car for them. It's a car for me. And the price was too good to pass it up. So again, this car will end up here no matter what. The thing that worries me the most is that accident in that quarter panel and how we're going to fix it, but we'll deal with that when the time comes. The next step is to take the engine out, take it apart and rebuild it. Alpina doesn't have any parts in stock for this vehicle, and we're discussing about making a reproduction of those parts so these cars can be fixed. But that's still just in talks. We'll see what's going to happen. For the block, I already have a plan. I'm going to work with a company from Switzerland, and we are going to repair this block to a better standard than when it was brand new, make it stronger. For the pistons, we can always make custom pistons. It's not a big deal. It's just this. I'm sick and tired of this. Every single winter I do the same thing and I freeze my ass off in here. I can put the biggest heater in this place and it's still not gonna be warm because you have these shitty doors which have a huge gap on the top. An elephant can fit through it. The roof is yay thin. There is no insulation. So no matter what you do, the heat just, escapes. It goes away. And it's miserably cold in here. On top of that, I'm ready for the next step. I want more lifts, specifically 2-post lifts. I'm in the business of restoring cars, and restorations take a long time. I only have two 2-post lifts, one of which is permanently occupied by the E31. When the E39 M5 comes back from Poland, this lift is going to be permanently occupied as well, and it's just not going to work. So I am discussing with my landlords of potentially expanding here at this location, which would be perfect because I love this place. But it's really tricky because there is no more space, and if more space were to open up, I still have to deal with the same thing. No heating, no insulation, shitty doors. Which means I would have to invest a ton of my own money into something that's not mine. And that's not ideal. So I'm trying to work out some sort of deal with them to see if we can do something there. Otherwise, I'm just looking for a different place where I can move that's nice, that has heating, that's at least 350 square meters, big, ideally around 450, 500, in Frankfurt area. So if you know of any place like that, please do let me know. I would really appreciate that. That's my number one focus right now, is to address this situation. Because I also want an engine building room. Call me spoiled, but I'm ready for that. Clearly, we're going to be doing this all day long, so might as well have a proper place to do it in. So I do apologize for adding yet another project on the massive pile of projects that we have. I wanted for this to be a quick project, but I can't, I didn't script this. You buy a car, the engine is bad. What are you gonna do? You gotta fix it. So I'll tell you what, we are going to work on project Sion and Yoki Alpina B10 V8S in the meantime. But now that I think about it, that car has over 300,000 kilometers, and I didn't inspect the cylinders. But it's gonna be fine. Maybe I don't even look. How about that? I hope that you enjoyed this start of this big project, and I want to thank all of you for following along, for supporting the channel and enabling me to buy beautiful crappy cars like this and put them back on the road. I am a little bit sad for not being able to drive this car right now. I was really looking forward to that, but we're just gonna have to wait until the engine is fixed and then put some proper kilometers on it. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, maybe consider subscribing. It's free, it doesn't cost a thing, and it helps the channel. I'll see you in the next one, which is going to be on the E31. It's time to start Project Marseille for the very first time. I'm gonna go home now and drink some tea. Warm beer sounds better.